Hello, boys and girls. Thanks for listening to 15 Minutes with Fuzz. My name is Fuzz Martin, and I am the proprietor of this show, where each and every week I introduce you to something good happening in our local community. It's getting close to summertime, and this week we're speaking with someone who makes summers in Washington County a whole lot of fun. Mike Christian from the Hometown Foundation is joining me to talk about the HomeGrown Music Festival, Regner Rocks, and Sounds at Sandy Knoll Park. Mike has a really fun and interesting story about how a raffle drawing changed the face of music in West Bend, and it was a lot of fun to talk to him. So sit tight, make sure your seatbelt's on, as we give you 15 minutes on the HomeGrown Music Festival with Mike Christian on 15 Minutes with Fuzz. Mike, thanks for joining me. It's finally feeling like festival weather outside. It wasn't for so long.
Fuzz, winter is such a bear on us typically, and this one in particular was a little depressing. Winter just lingered on. There was no real spring, but it gave us an opportunity to kind of get some things in order and really get a good game plan together for 2022. Yeah,
usually each winter we'll get like at least one weekend of like 65 where you can clean the garage out and kind of reset, and we didn't get that. So before we talk about all the great music you have coming up in West Bend this summer, tell us a bit about your background and what you do for a living.
Sure. I started my career and my life kind of in the service industry. I was in the restaurant business.
Okay.
Catering, and I ran a golf course, and then I moved over to a retail side of things. I worked at Jeff's Spirits on Main here in West Bend for about 8 years.
And I'm sure a lot of people would recognize you.
I always joke when people say, "Hey, I recognize you from somewhere," and I say, "Probably church, right?"
Yes, exactly. So I was reading up on the background of the HomeGrown Music Festival, and I found it really interesting how you got started. Can you tell us a story about how the whole festival got started?
Sure. I'll keep it as brief as possible, but essentially I was attending an event at Regner Park, and I had bid on an auction item that was essentially a day at the park at Regner Park. And the idea was you could have the stage and all the pavilions and everything. So I made a bid on it. I had no idea what I was going to do with it, but I thought, well, I'll support the cause and put a bid on this thing. Well, I ended up winning it, which is great.
Yeah.
But it got my wheels spinning then. Okay, what the heck am I going to do with this stage in this park?
Sure.
I was playing in a little band at the time.
Okay.
And I went to my bandmates and I said, "Hey, how about we go and play on this park? We'll invite our friends and families, and we'll grill out some brats and have some beers." And that was really well received. They liked that idea.
Yeah.
Little garage bands struggle to find locations to play anyway. So It's like, yeah, well, that'll be awesome. But shouldn't we invite a couple other bands so that we can sit and enjoy the music as well? And,
so you're not just working the whole time.
Right. Yeah. Let's sit and have a beer too, and we'll watch some music. And so we did. We reached out to a few other friends and bands, and they thought it was a great idea. Again, the wheels are spinning, and I'm sitting on the board of directors at the Washington County Historical Society at the time. I still am, actually. But I thought, what a great opportunity to create a little fundraiser for the Historical Society.
Yeah.
So that's essentially what we did that first year back in 2015. We gathered a couple of friends, bands, and put on a show at Regner Park and called it a fundraiser for the Historical Society.
So that's kind of the homegrown part of it too, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Real organic and grassroots. Just local everything, and that was kind of the heart of it.
From there, you started a nonprofit that hosts all the events that you cover, right?
Right. Yeah. After a few years of the HomeGrown Festival being as successful as it was, we decided to create a parent organization essentially to oversee that. And so 2019, we officially filed and received a nonprofit status. And so we call it the Hometown Foundation, and that's kind of our parent organization.
So now with that 501c3, you then, like you did with the Historical Society, you help other nonprofit organizations.
Right. Our entire mission essentially is to, one, create community events that use local Wisconsin original musicians. two, to engage other nonprofit partners in the community and ask for their assistance in pulling these events off. And then three, to share the proceeds with them.
There's no actual cost to the HomeGrown Music Festival, right?
Right. We do hardly, kind of not pressure, but we suggest a donation at the door, help the cause sort of thing. We do sell food and beverage and merchandise as well. So
Sure. Okay.
there's opportunities for people to open their wallets and give us some cash to the day of the events.
This is the 7th annual event coming up, right?
Semi-annual.
Semi-annual.
Or not exactly annual. 2020 was that one year that, we don't really...
Nobody talks
about 2020. So yeah, that doesn't even count. But yeah, every year since 2015, we've had the event.
When is this year's event?
July 10th this year.
Okay.
Typically, our goal is to do it the Sunday after the 4th of July.
Oh, okay.
And that's kind of our standard operating procedure that keeps it easy for us and the community. Everybody knows that the following Sunday is always the homegrown event.
Now, what do you feel makes the Homegrown Festival special?
It's unique in the way that we focus strictly on Wisconsin-based original musicians. So no cover bands. I think being in a local original band myself and understanding that dynamic and that kind of scene, I just always understood that there was very little opportunity for those sort of musicians to get out and do their thing. Bars don't like to hire bands like that. They want cover bands. You go to a church picnic over the summer or a fireman's picnic, it's all the big name cover bands. And this really fills a niche in our mind that is really welcoming.
What is your favorite part of the Homegrown Festival?
There's a lot of really awesome things that happen. Mostly I think it's the gratification of getting the people from the community that come up to me and say, thank you for doing this. It's something that they are appreciative of. And they're happy that someone's doing it. And we're making good use of that park at Regner Park and the other parks that we work in. Additionally, it's just really great to hear the bands as well. At the end of their set, it's always smiles and thank yous and, this is so wonderful. And, so it's just the gratification of the entire thing that encompasses is really the best part of it.
Real feel-good event and completes kind of that love of music that you have, right?
Totally. Yeah, there's really not one single thing that I could point to that's really the best. Just in general, it all comes together in a perfect world.
Did you ever picture yourself being essentially a music promoter? And is that ever something you wanted to be?
That's really hard to say. Growing up, I thought, maybe I would do something with music. I didn't know if it would be from my background being an events coordinator. I was mostly dealing with people who were having weddings or anniversary parties and things like that. So there's always some sense of entertainment that was involved with those things. But I always understood that was one of the keys to the event was the entertainment side of things. So yeah, not necessarily as a career choice, but by default, it kind of fits right into my wheelhouse.
Yeah, that's great. So you recently announced all the acts that are coming to HomeGrown Music Festival in 2022. Can you tell us a bit about them?
The thing that I always say about the musicians is nobody's ever heard of them.
Okay.
Typically that's the crux of it is, they're not national touring band or anything like that. You'd have to go out of your way to have seen them.
Sure.
Or you're friends with somebody in the band, so you know them. Dropping their names isn't going to do us any good here. But what I can tell you is that these folks are Whammy award-winning artists. Whammy is a Wisconsin area music industry. They're super tight bands. They're super fun. They have a ton of passion for what they do, and they put on awesome shows.
Is the music style all kind of similar in terms of is it bluegrassy or more country? What rock? What are we looking at?
And that was another interesting dynamic that we encountered as we're trying to put these things together. And what we decided was if we're going to have a bluegrass festival, we'll do something different than Homegrown. But Homegrown itself is all encompassing. So we do steer clear of the extremes on either side. So you're not going to get elevator music and you're not going to get heavy metal.
Sure.
But I think our determining factor is what would be pleasant listening to in a park on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
with
know,
a cup of beer and a brat. Yeah.
Yep. And with the family there,
Yeah,
kid
yes.
friendly.
Yep.
All of our events are kid friendly, so nothing offensive or aggressive. It's just really well done music, and again, passion from the artists really shows through.
Do the artists come from all over the state, or are they mostly around this region?
We take that into consideration.
Mhm.
We do like to focus a little bit more regionally, but there is a huge music scene in Appleton,
Okay.
out west in La Crosse area,
Mhm.
and Milwaukee obviously is a hotbed. Madison. So those are the 4 regions outside of Washington County that we kind of poke at.
And again, it costs nothing to attend the festival. What were the dates again on that?
July 10th is the HomeGrown Music Festival.
All right, very good. And then this year, as the Hometown Foundation, as the nonprofit, you guys are supporting 2 local organizations, right?
Yeah, we last year the Moose Lodge was one of our organizations that locked in every week to help us out on the
Okay.
food side of things. So
Mhm.
they ran the food stand. We invited them back again this year because they're just great to work with. They have a heart of gold, and they're really, really great about community involvement.
Mhm.
And additionally, this year we reached out to Chicks for a Cause,
Mhm.
a longstanding nonprofit organization in the area that does wonderful things and raises tons of money for people with cancer, families with cancer. So really both worthwhile organizations, and those 2 are going to be our main partners in all of our events this summer.
You mentioned families before, so you don't have to be 21 to be there, or is there a
Nope, 21 to purchase alcohol is
Okay.
pretty standard at events, but we love the idea of family friendly
Mhm.
and using the parks in that fashion, getting the community together in that setting. It's not a beer chugging sort of,
Right.
hoot and hollering sort of thing. It's again sitting at the picnic table or getting up and doing a little dancing and having a good time, but
Yeah.
totally kids, bring the kids.
Sure. What time of the day does it start?
Homegrown kicks off at about noon.
Okay.
First band strikes their chord at noon.
Okay.
We'll open the park at 11. And
Great.
typically we're done by 8:30, 9 o'clock.
You've expanded beyond just doing the one festival. Now you have a couple other concert series going on. Tell us about those.
Much to the demise of my wife. But she, she loves and encourages this completely. She knows it's important.
Mhm.
This all kind of stemmed from Homegrown, though. Our fans would say, really, you're only going to give us one day a year. And, I take that to the drawing board and I say, well, I can do more. And there's plenty of bands, that's the other surprising thing that every year we get hundreds of submissions from bands who want to play at events. So we've got plenty of bands to work with, plenty of dates on the calendar. And yeah, so we started last year in 2021 a series on Thursday nights called Regner Rocks.
Mhm.
And then we did a few offshoot things on Friday nights at Sandy Knoll Park and called that Sounds at Sandy Knoll.
Okay, and then you've got so both of those are going on again this year, right?
We're gonna limit it just to Thursday nights this year, though. So
Okay.
we'll alternate locations.
Gotcha.
Regner one week, Sandy Knoll the next week, and kind of work that back and forth all through the summer.
I did see that on Thursday, June 30th at Sandy Knoll, you have the Happy Schnapps combo, which everybody loves.
Who doesn't love the Happy Schnapps combo? They're so fun. They fit our criteria
Yeah.
of being a Wisconsin original band. So
How long have they been around? They've been around since like when I was a child. Well, we were both same age, so we were both like 9 or 10, right? When
I
The
would
Bears
say
Still Suck, I think,
easily,
right? Yeah.
easily 30 years. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that was the first song I ever heard from the Happy Schnapps combo.
Yes. In case you don't know, listening, The Bears Still Suck is the Happy Schnapps combo. So
That wasn't just commentary from you. That was
no,
an actual
yes,
song title.
yes. My wife is from Chicagoland, so I have to be careful. Shanna, that was just the title of a song, not me saying what I normally say when they're playing. Regner Rocks there's 2 Thursdays in June this year, and then Sandy Knoll, the Sounds at Sandy Knoll, right?
Yeah, our first open date at Sandy Knoll was June 30th this year, so we
Okay.
couldn't start that series as early as the Regner series. So, yep, we'll run a couple of Thursdays in West Bend here at Regner Park,
Mhm.
and then start the alternating weeks at Sandy Knoll.
And then at Sandy Knoll, will they have a beer truck or something there too?
Yep, we have a little concession area. Again,
Okay.
Chicks for a Cause and the West Bend Moose Lodge will be there supporting us with both food and beverage sales. So
excellent. Well, it's looking forward to a great summer of music here in West Bend, again with Regner Rocks and Sounds at Sandy Knoll, and of course the HomeGrown Music Festival. If people want to learn more information, first of all, do you need any help right now? I know you've got the organizations helping out in the booth, but do you need any volunteers or anything like that?
Our foundation board of directors is really impactful in some of these events as well. So we also form little committees with volunteers. It doesn't hurt to reach out. And if you're interested in helping out, we'll certainly find an opportunity for you. But we do like to have our bases covered so that we're not piecemealing it week to week.
Sure.
But there's always opportunities, just even if it's to go backstage and fill coolers for bands, or make sure they got enough snacks and pick up some garbage around the grounds, make sure kids are behaving and whatever. Just kind of in general grounds work, putting out signs, things like that. Yeah, we can always use a hand.
Great. And then also, I know you have sponsors that help to support the show as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. West Bend Mutual is a huge community partner in general, and they step up really in a big way for us. The Standards Delta Defense, and then there's some foundations, the West Bend Community Foundation, the Nast Family Foundation, and then just some smaller, small businesses in the area that always want to contribute and make sure that we're doing good stuff.
You're available at hometown.foundation is the website, right?
Yep. I always like to say www.hometown.foundation because it is a little confusing. There's no .com at the end,
right?
So it's just the .foundation.
Yep. So www.hometown.foundation. Also, you can find them on Instagram, both for the Hometown Foundation and for Homegrown Music WI, and then also Facebook, right?
Absolutely. That's our bread and butter, kind of the Facebook crowd. We don't. I think we have a Twitter handle, but we don't do a lot with that. Sure. Really, Facebook is the spot to find most of our information.
Great, Mike. Best of luck to you here in 2022. I hope that you have a great concert. All three of the different concert series that you have going on are great. And thanks for putting this in our community.
Absolutely, and thanks for having me today, Fuzz.
Absolutely. Thanks again to Mike Christian of the Hometown Foundation and the Homegrown Music Festival for joining me this week. I hope you enjoyed the episode, but more importantly, I hope you're able to get out and enjoy some great music happening here in Washington County this summer. If you ever want to hear something on the show, I do take requests. I'm like a good wedding DJ, but with interviews. You can email me 15withfuzz@gmail.com or go to fuzz.cc/guest. That is fuzz.cc/guest. New episodes drop every Monday. You can find them on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you like to listen to shows, namely podcasts. Thanks again for listening, and we'll talk to you again next week right here on 15 Minutes with Fuzz.